Okay, I began the record of our lecture, and today we are speaking about the very interesting phenomenon. We are speaking about the diversification. So generally, according to the Ansoff matrix, the diversification of the company means that the company is dealing in at least two strategical business units. And actually, the diversification can be a state or can be a process. It is a state when a company has at least two strategical business units now, so the company has a portfolio of some strategical business units, or it is moving to this portfolio. I mean, the company is moving. Actually, it is generally the same, but you have to keep in mind that we can have this diversification now, or we can move to this diversification. Generally, the main purpose of this strategy is not putting all the eggs into one basket. It means that if something is wrong with one business, maybe we will have profits from other strategical business units. But I'd like to begin this lecture with a small case, with a short case from this book. Actually, I uploaded this book into our folder. It is for reading out of classes. Actually, I really love this book, and generally it is being read as how to say, not as the textbook. It is really interesting because it's about real lives, and actually I found a lot of very interesting information in this book. And the example I'd like to present here is also taken from this very book. One company in the United States of America, the name of the company was Toro. They produced the grasp cutters. It is the grasp cutter not produced by the company, because I didn't manage to find the grasp cutter produced by the company in the internet, because the company became bankrupt and now it's not possible. So the company produced the grasp cutters, and they were very successful. It is not very big grasp cutters. They produced grasp cutters for households. So if you live near the city, near the town, you will have some small field not far from small yard near your house, and every weekend it is possible for you to use it. And they decided to increase the product portfolio, and they decided to add one more product. They decided to add to their portfolio snow removers, also for households. And generally, the ideas were connected with the following facts. If our company has a lot of customers, and if the customers are completely satisfied with the quality of grasp cutters, maybe they will buy the same, almost the same equipment for removing of snows in winter. Then the equipment is very close, so we can sell it in our stores, and also we can sell it through our internet site, because it's very close. Then the technology is also very close. We have the same engines actually, and generally the technology is very close, so it's easier for us to produce the new equipment. And what is also very important for our company, that we have the negative correlation between these two products. If we are thinking about the demand on these products, so this negative correlation, season negative correlation, I forgot to add very important word. It means that we are selling these products in spring, almost in spring, when the people need to cut the grass, and but in the winter we have no demand on this equipment, but we can sell the removers for snow. So it was brilliant strategy. The company thought about it, but finally the company became bankrupt. Why? I need your ideas, dear students.
I know this story.
Okay, if you know this story, please don't tell us. Maybe somebody tries to find the answer. Thank you. I'm sorry, but it is always interesting to how to say, to get this idea, not to know this story. But if nobody knows, you will add your answer. Dear students, you are welcome to think and to add your ideas.
If it is connected to the season correlations, so it can be that we will have a winter without snow, or a summer without grass, or something like that.
Yes, you are right. You are almost right. And the first student who wanted to answer, you're welcome to add.
You know, it's very strange to me, because having a good grass is a mandatory thing in the USA, and lawnmower business should not be bankrupt. You may want it, or you may do not want it, but you should have your grass in a good condition. So
I think you misunderstood the question. It is the student who said that you know the story or not?
No, it was me.
No, so you misunderstood the concept. I will explain it for you. The company became the bankrupt because of this very strategy. The company became the bankrupt not because they produced the grass cutters, but because they wanted to increase the portfolio, because they wanted to be a diversified company. Okay, and please, I'd like to listen to the student who was the first to answer.
No, as I remember, this company was bankrupt, but finish of this story, as the company bought this company, and in other season when snow was very much in this region, this company became and have very big profit from this sailing of this snowing machine.
Okay, but the problem is, okay, you also maybe a little bit misunderstood. The difference, I'd like to say thank you to the second student who tell us, because really they forgot about very crucial thing, that if speaking about the grasp, we do not have a summer without grasp. But is it possible to have winter without snow? Yes, it is completely possible. You remember that, for example, if speaking about 3 years ago situation when it was 2019, it was only 2 days with snow in Kharkiv. I remember it exactly because my daughter was born in, my second daughter was born in 2019, and I had to take my wife and my daughter from the hospital in this very date then when it was snowing, and the second day it was in February. Also, I had some obligations and I had to go by car, and it was very funny for me that I had 2 obligations when it was snow. And as you remember, this winter 2019, from 2019 to 2020, it was the winter without snow, generally without big snow. And but sometimes we had snow in Kharkiv, and actually this situation, if speaking not about Kharkiv but generally, this situation about snow is unpredictable, completely unpredictable. And when this company decided to begin this strategy, the next winter was without snow, and nobody wished to buy this equipment just because there was no snowing, and nobody needed this equipment. They decided to ask for the loan, and they waited for the second winter. But the second winter was also without snowing. The winter was also without snowing. Maybe somebody just told that the company was sold. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it was after the situation, and really the third winter was the winter with snow. But as it is written in this book, there was no company, so they had to sell the business. So this is just to explain that generally this picture looks very good. That generally to be a diversified company is a very good idea, is really a very good idea. But to become a diversified company is a very risky strategy, even if you are diversifying your business activity through merging of other company. If you are not setting the new business, but if you are just buying another company, and through this buying you are becoming a diversified company. So please keep it in mind. I'm repeating one more time that when we are speaking the diversification strategy, from one case it is connected with the diversifying of risks, but in other case it can increase the level of our risks in this way when we are becoming a diversified company. So now I presented this information. So diversification means risks, but only when we are on this way. But if we successfully diversified our business, our business activity has less risks. Why firms want to be diversified companies? Generally, they want to grow because sometimes it's not possible to grow within the industry, and they just want to open a new possible way to grow. And generally it can be connected not only with the fact that it is not possible to grow within the industry, just the company wishes to enter the new business, and the situation can be very obvious if you read the history of any Japanese or any Korean diversified company. It's because usually the process of diversification is organized, or was organized, just because the top management of the company wished to enter some business, just because this. So they think that we have to grow in some other dimension. Next, it can be the situation that we have some equipment and we'd like to utilize this equipment fully. It means, for example, that we have some, you must remember the story of Kulinichi in Kharkiv, because there are a lot of students of my age, and you remember that first of all they began to sell some not only bread but some more in the kiosks, in the small metal kiosks near subway stations. It was just because we have a small shop, a kiosk, and we have the person in this small kiosk, and it is possible to sell maybe some sweets in the kiosks just because we do not need to invest any money into the process. So we are just using the available equipment. In my example, it is the selling equipment of our company. Then, in some cases, the company wants to become a diversified company because the situation in the industry is becoming unfavorable or unattractive. I think the example for this situation can be connected with tobacco business. As you know, Philip Morris company, once they understood that people are fighting against cigarettes all over the world, and nowadays it is a big problem to find a place to smoke, and actually it is, how to say, it is in parallel with my values, because I think that anybody who doesn't smoke can live without this awful smell. Actually, these values were shared in Europe and in the USA, and tobacco companies, they realized that problems, and if speaking, for example, about Philip Morris company, they decided to enter the food industry, and also they decided to enter the brewing industry. They bought Miller company. We will speak about it in details when I present you the synergy, the lecture about the synergy effect. So they wanted to spread the investments. Not only they wanted to invest not only into the tobacco business, but they also wanted to invest into other businesses. And the last but not least, as synergy, it means that sometimes it is possible to connect our businesses, and we can have something from these interrelation and interconnection. In my example, not in my current example, but we spoke about the fuel business. So maybe if somebody wants to buy fuel at our fuel station, maybe this person, and also not only drivers but also passengers of this car, maybe they will buy some snacks, coffees at our small shop, or at our cafe situated right at our fuel station. or maybe not even a small shop, or not a small cafe. And actually, as you know now, that a big fuel station now, they provide not only hot dogs but also some meals. It was very strange for me, but they are providing this service. We will speak about synergy a little bit later, but generally now we are speaking only about the driving forces for being a diversified company. Now I'd like to discuss with you three classifications of the diversification strategy, but at the end of our lecture, I do not want to discuss only the academic value of this classification. We are speaking about these classifications just to think, just to find the new ways of diversifications for the company, according to the ideas of Igor Antsov. Actually, dear students, I will try to find also this book and also upload this book to our folder. I forgot to do it, but I think it is possible to find it in the internet. I mean, a new corporative strategy by Igor Antsov, and also in 2 languages. Now I have uploaded only the basic book for our course, Thompson and Strickland Strategic Management, but I will upload also the other books. So generally there are 3 main classifications of the diversification. The first classification divide all the diversification strategies into full diversification, backward diversification, and forward diversification. This classification is presented in Thompson and Strickland. Full diversification means that we are entering the market which is not connected with our business. For example, the company which deals with fish, they decide to diversify it into selling insurance. Or Procter & Gamble company, they decided, once they decided to produce potato chips. And it was just because, if you know the story, if it was just because one of the top managers of the company, he liked to eat chips, potato chips with beer, and he was very unhappy because usually chips were damaged in usual packs, in usual plastic packs. That's why he decided to produce these like best quality chips. And this is not connected with the company. And if speaking about the integration, about the backward and forward diversification, for this purpose I'd like to present you very briefly the value chain creating for a company. Generally, our next lecture will be completely connected with vertical integration. So then we will speak about it in details. but generally. If speaking about the industry value chain creating, we have raw materials, then we are producing some intermediate goods, some details, which we need to produce the final products of the industry. For example, here we have like silicium. Then we can create computer chips, and then we are producing the computers with the detail. And then we have some sales service, and then we have after sales services. With this, the like general industry value chain in any industry. Yes, you can say that we have in industries we have more parts in this chain. We have more links, but generally it is just because we can have a lot of links in the chain here, for example, or we can have a long chain and a lot of links here, or we have a lot of links here. But generally the industry value chain is presented at this picture. And if we are merging or controlling our suppliers, we are speaking about backward integration. And if we are speaking about merging or controlling in some other way of our sales of companies which is selling of our goods, or maybe it is another situation, maybe we are producer of raw materials, and we are trying to control the companies which are using our details for producing their products. It can be so. So we are speaking about forward integration. So backward diversification means that, for example, then some distributor want to invest into the producer of, for example, the producer of dairy products is investing into the milk farms. And forward integration can be connected with any internet store business. For example, we can not only to produce a product, but we can also sell this product because now we are living in the internet century, and generally we do not need to have a shop to sell our product. We need just to create an internet site, and it is completely possible for us to organize this business, and the investments in this situation will be not so high compared. Yes, I understand we have, please don't say that we have to invest money into the internet site. Yes, I completely agree with you, but if to compare these investments with the investments into real estate, with building shops, with supporting all the staff with salaries, so these investments into creating the internet site will be lower. Generally. The second classification divides the diversification strategy into horizontal, into vertical, into concentric and into heterogeneous or conglomerate diversification. Let's speak about every diversification in details. Actually, this classification is taken from the book New Corporate Strategy by Igor Ansov. This classification is connected. They presented classification, but it is a little bit more detailed. Horizontal diversification means that we are using, okay, maybe using is not a good word, we are supplying products and other products, but to the current customer group. In my example, regarding the cars and fuel stations and cafe near the fuel station, we are satisfying the needs of the same group of customers. Vertical diversification is connected with the process of vertical integration. So when we are investing into the supplying business, we are using this type of diversification. Concentric diversification means that it is possible to use our resources, our technologies, or our marketing system for another businesses. When Philip Morris Company decided to merge the Miller Brewing Company, they didn't know anything about beer, but they knew a lot about marketing, and they decided to use the marketing department of tobacco company for not producing but for advertising the beer produced by the company. And okay, we will speak about this story a little bit later. It is a very interesting and very long story. We will speak it. We will speak about it. But generally, it is the example of concentric diversification when we are using some existing technology for other businesses. And heterogeneous or conglomerate diversification means that we are entering completely new business, so it doesn't have any relations compared with our previous businesses. For example, when I told you Procter & Gamble decided to buy to organize producing the potato chips, they didn't have any connections between this very business and other existing businesses. And the same situation is when the company bought the trademark Duracell. The only difference is that if speaking about potato chips, they organized this business by themselves, and if speaking about the batteries, they just bought this business, and that's all. But generally, these two examples show you that the company can be diversified in businesses which are completely not interrelated and interconnected with the existing businesses of the company. Completely not. And the third classification of the diversification strategy, and actually you can find this classification in, I think, in any textbook published in Ukrainian language. And this is the easiest classification. It is when we are dividing the diversification into related diversification, okay, somehow related. It can be related by integration, by resources or equipment. It could be concentric diversification, related by technology, somehow related, and unrelated diversification. So we can say that the first three types of diversification is related diversification, and the fourth type of diversification is unrelated diversification. Now I'd like to present you the main pros and main contras about every type of diversification, about related and about unrelated diversification. Generally, if speaking about the related diversification, I'm repeating that it means that our diversification has some connections between our new business and between our previous businesses, about the businesses which we had before we wanted to be a diversified company. Generally, the example of related diversification is a company of Johnson & Johnson, because everything they are producing is somehow connected with health, somehow connected with health care. And if speaking about another food company, Campbell Soup Company, it is also somehow connected with food. If speaking about the main fields in relations, we can speak about sharing some resources. Sharing some resources, for example, we can, in my example of Kulinichi company, we have some net of shop and we can sell something in these shops. And also strategic integrations means that we have possibility to increase our profits because we are dealing in different directions. We will speak about it in details when we speak about the synergy effect of the diversification. Generally, when we are speaking about the related diversification, to become a diversified company, if we are speaking about the related diversification, this strategy is less risky. But I will speak about it a little bit later today. But you understand that any coin has two sides. And if we have less risky here, but you know that if we are investing money in all the connected industries, it means that here it means that here we don't have this picture, but maybe we can say that we have a lot of baskets, but we are wearing all the baskets only in one hand. So the outcome of the strategy is a little bit poor compared with unrelated diversification. The main advantages of the strategy is the following. It is less risky to begin the new business if this business is somehow connected with our previous businesses. So it means that we knew a lot about our new business. Then we have some valuable resources and experience, and we do not need to invest into all the resources because we have some resources now. Then if the business is connected, we will use the same raw materials. Yes, we do need to buy these raw materials, but you know, it will be possible for us to use the same suppliers. The first, then if we know the supply, that supply is good, what does it mean, a good supplier? So it means that the supplier follows the agreement, and if everything is written in the agreement, it will be definitely, the raw material or the details will be definitely supported by him, by the supplier. So it will be also better for our company. And then our strategic goals will be combined. It is also connected with synergy. We will speak about it. We can use the same technologies. It will be easier for us to use, not to understand, because we understand this technology. For example, maybe you remember the history, very interesting history, when the Hyundai company they decided to produce the condition machines for buildings, not only for car, but just for buildings. Then we can have economies of scale. It means that if we have to buy bigger quantity of some raw material, we will have better price. The more we are buying, the better price we have. So it is the economy of scale. And if we have some relations, and it can be relations even non-mentioned here. For example, sometimes it can be tax, energy connected with taxes, synergy connected with taxes. So we will speak about it also during the lecture regarding the synergy effect. But generally, if we have some interrelations and interconnections among these two strategical business units, we can use it to increase the profitability of our business. If speaking about unrelated diversification, we can speak about entering any new business for a company. So there are some examples of completely unrelated diversification. Usually the results of unrelated diversification is better because we are spreading the risks through different sectors of economy. So if one sector of economy is failing, generally failing, so other sectors of economy can be still profitable. So in long perspective, unrelated diversification is more favorable strategy for our company, is the better strategy for our company. But to implement this strategy is more risky, and the result would be more unpredictable. The general disadvantages of unrelated diversification, generally the first is that the greater number of business activity, the more difficult is to manage this company. Even if we successfully became a diversified company with unrelated diversification, if our businesses are not close, it is generally more difficult task for management to manage the unrelated diversified companies. And generally there are a lot of problems connected with dividing budgets, dividing human resources, etc. Generally, if we want to become a diversified company, it is obvious, but I decided to speak also about it in our today's lecture, that we have to first of all understand our resources which we have. Then we have to choose the industry, and then we have to create a business plan for the new business. And generally, when speaking about the diversification, we have to think about two basic issues. We have to think how attractive is the new business, and then we have to think about the competitive advantages in the new businesses. It's because I'm stressing one more time that it's not possible to create a strategy without the competitive advantage on our rivals, and you have to understand this competitive advantage. And there are a lot of examples of successful diversification. Actually, all your companies which you decided to take as the companies for your course paper, they are the examples of the successful diversification strategy. So all your companies managed to organize the business in at least two strategical business units. And the task for the next task, the third task, is to take this classification and to explain what types of diversification is being used by your company. So generally your diversification being used by your company can be related or unrelated, but also I'd like you to think about what if it is interrelated and interconnected somehow. And as I saw, I think all the businesses, all the companies, as I remember, all the companies which were taken by you has some interrelations between different strategical business units. So please classify and please describe the way of these interrelation. It shouldn't be a very long essay. The half of page will be completely enough. Not more than 1 page. 1 page it will be just if the relationship will be if the number of the strategical business units will be very big. So in this very case you will have to, maybe there are a lot of interrelations between different strategical business units, but if the company has just 3, 4 or 5 strategical business units, you will have just to explain this relationship between different strategical business units. What is it? Is it horizontal diversification, vertical diversification, or concentric diversification? Maybe if some strategical business unit is standing apart from other strategical business units, so in this very case, the you will explain that this strategical business unit is standing so apart. Окей. І я вже так подумав, я наприкінці завдання, я ще трохи додам українською мовою, то окремо буде, а я хочу ще раз повторити завдання, ваше наступне, третє завдання українською мовою. Що ви повинні зробити? Ви повинні для своєї компанії, яка успішно стала диверсифікованою компанією, як виявляється, що вона не збанкрутіла, а в неї є принаймні дві стратегічні бізнес-одиниці. І от наскільки я пам'ятаю, у більшості пов'язана диверсифікація, то взяти треба оцю другу класифікацію диверсифікації і описати, що це буде. Це буде горизонтальна диверсифікація, вертикальна диверсифікація, концентрична, або, ну таке може бути, я вже, чесно кажучи, дуже велика кількість компаній, зараз в мене цю курсову роботу працює над нею більше ніж 100 студентів, вже точно, може в когось окрема бізнес-одиниця дійсно стоїть так от зовсім ніякого зв'язку немає, то ну, дійсно тоді в цьому випадку буде тоді це конгломератна непов'язана диверсифікація. А так просто треба описати, що от я вважаю, що от моя компанія має одну диверсифікацію, тобто або тільки горизонтальну, або тільки вертикальну. А може бути, що таке і те, і те, і те, і те. Таке теж може бути. Тобто, чи може так бути, що в компанії присутні всі 4 види диверсифікації? Так, таке може бути. Буде дуже цікаво. А тепер я зупиняюся. Окей, now I'm stopping with the lecture and we will begin the discussion.